Welcome back, Blade fans, to OG Blade Reviews. That is me, that is I, and you are you, I suppose, way out there in Blade land, social media land. Got something new that I purchased from North Mountain Blade. They provided some blades in the past, not offering as many review samples as they used to, but I felt this was worthy of a review. So we're going to take a look at it. And it is way different from the North Mountain blades you have likely seen on either this channel or others in the past, as it is not a button lock and it is not in Sanmai SLD Magic. Let's see if I can find it. There's the label. It is the Kaiken, a type of Tanto, M390, and diamond cut means what we're going to take a look at on the handle. Here's what you get: a very sturdy cardboard box with a little Pelican style case. Very nice presentation, and you can use that either for the knife or anything else that you might want to keep waterproof, as there is a gasket and O-ring around the outside of the case. Look at this beautiful little knife. I thought I'd like this, and when I got it, I liked it even more. I got to say that. It's not a huge knife, but it is not a small knife. Comes in at 3.5 inches. We're going to get it out of the little coffin case here. And bear with me while we look at it in the closed position, because this is a really neat, they call it diamond pattern. I think it's more of that like 3D milling kind of a deal, that optic illusion that, you know, it is a raised milled titanium. I'll leave it at that. And it's on both sides, which I love, because you do often see, even on full titanium handled knives, the texture only on one side. So I'm great that they followed through with it. It really gives it a chiseled, solid look. And it is a solid knife at around 4 ounces, but we're going to measure it. There's the North Mountain Blade name on the clip. It isn't too heavily branded. You know, you're going to see on the rest of the knife that there isn't too much branding on it either. You do see the M390 on the front flipper tab, and it is well jimped. And let's see what we can do with it. Easy with my left hand, right hand not so easy these days. But there is their chop. That is their logo, I believe, of North Mountain. And there is North Mountain's logo. Now, the chop could be the designer, and I know they use a Japanese designer. I'll be talking more about him when I show you a beautiful, incredible fixed blade Tanto that's going to be reviewed in the days coming. There's also a neatly disguised little North Mountain Blade logo inside the Framelock relief. And it is good engagement with a hardened steel insert where the screw is only on the inside. So that really, again, adds to the clean look, that you've got a hardened steel insert, but no screw is visible. Got a nice polished stainless, I think, surround in around the pivot screw. Same thing on this side with a nice little kind of dished out circle there. And here you can see the really nice compound grind. It is very subtle, but it's there, so that you have a hollow in here and you have a flat here. This is done in the Kaiken style of blade, which is a type, we could say it's a type of Tanto. Japanese may say no, it's not a Tanto, but for those of us here in the West, we kind of view these all as Tantos. And of course, there is the distinction between the traditional Tanto and Kaiken and the chisel ground, more blunt, if I can use that word, cold steel design from the mid 80s. And I had those when they first came out. Wasn't reviewing knives then, but I was certainly collecting them and doing a lot of martial arts around them. It is a really smooth on bearings action. And when it's closed, look at this. You cannot even see the blade until you get about there. I just think it's a really cool design. It's a thin handle, and we're going to measure it up. Holds nice in the hand. It is really not too small. It's a great, compact, carryable, thin knife. However, quite solid. Let's get an overall length on it. And strangely enough, they say 8 inches, but it's actually to the center of the handle there, about 7.95, 7.9 we'll call it. How about that? 7.9 with a blade, 3.5 inches. Yep, just about exactly. You could argue and say it's a tiny bit longer, but we won't go there. Inches across the handle, only 0.445. Inches on the blade stock, 0.11, fairly thin. And millimeters on the blade stock, 2.7. Millimeters on the handle, 11.1. And if I can unbury my scale here, I know it's here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Here we go. I'm going to do some interesting compares for you too coming up. All right, let's get it set to grams so we can go to ounces with one push right after that. In grams, the weight is 112.43. In ounces, 3.965. Call it, you're going to call it 4 ounces, right? 3.97, just under 4 ounces. Do what we can to get under 4 ounces, right? Again, really compact, but coming in just about 4 ounces. It's heavier than it looks. It just feels solid in the hand. Let's see, I'm not even going to attempt it with the right thumb. It's messed up. Really, really nice profile. Now, for compare, let's first compare it to a knife I was sent for review by North Mountain. This is the aluminum bronze handled chop with the SLD Magic blade. You can see there is the etched hamon. Now, normally the hamon is not part of a layered steel. It could be on traditional Japanese swords and tantos, but in this case they used the etching to show you the difference between the core, which you might be able to see there. There is the core of the SLD Magic. I'm still trying to find out what the side layers are on this steel, but the SLD Magic is like a 62 HRC, really tough and wear resistant steel in that core in the middle. The aluminum bronze makes it quite heavy. Different blade style entirely, for sure. Here is the Chop 2. This is the Kickstop Chop 2, a Lee Williams design. And this one is cool in that it's a liner lock, but you can see that there is the disappearing back flipper. There we go. You can see it completely goes away. May or may not need that to happen, but it's kind of a trick thing. And this is a heavily sculpted G10 handle on this one from North Mountain. But that's their plus version. So you can see it's about an inch longer overall, and it's about a ½ inch longer in the blade. So 3.5 and 4. Ooh, I actually cut my finger. Go figure. I think I actually cut it on the flipper instead of the blade. How weird is that? Okay, well, I got a bloody knife now. Reality TV on my channel. Be interesting finishing this up. I may need to pause and bandage that up. Bear with me. Okay, what the hey? I was gone for about 10 minutes. Tried using this stuff. Don't bother. Doesn't work. Little pressure in a Band-Aid. But I'm curious. I think, I think what happened is I slipped off of this. It was a little stiff, okay? It didn't fire, and I pressed my finger down in there, and although this is well below the surface of the handle, I must have pushed down in there hard enough and sliced my finger right on the blade. What a freak thing. Don't blame the company. It's the user. But let's move on, shall we? No more blood. I think that's the first time I ever bled on screen. Oh, it's a fun one for the books. Let's look at one more. Try not to cut myself. North Mountain blade. This was a custom run, and I think they've got a few left. This is a fixed blade, obviously, with a camel bone handle on this one. They've got about 6 or more different handle materials that they're using. Again, we got the Sanmai SLD Magic Steel, really nicely done. What they do is they bead blast it a little bit there, and then they polish the core, which is interesting. Not sure how they do that. This one's got red liners, fairly thick red liners. Makes it interesting. I had my choice when I got this. This, again, was one of my purchases. It's a smallish fixed blade, but again, the handle is just wide enough for my hand. It's more of a showpiece. I wouldn't carry this for use or defense. It's a pretty shiny, polished handle. And it does come with a really decent leather sheath. Got another one coming in with a leather sheath. Big boy, though. Big Tanto. Finally, as an example of another Kaiken style knife, here is a Williams made by Lion Steel. This is their Osirako Zukuri Mini Kaiken. They call it the OZM for Osirako Zukuri Mini 001. That's the model, not the number. It's got my micarta handle, and you notice a very similar blade style. There's your compound grind on the Kaiken folder. And you can see there is a further back compound grind on the fixed blade, but almost identical in profile, including the swedge up top here. You went just a bit further with the swedge on the fixed blade. Again, that's a Williams, all right, not North Mountain. Comes with an excellent Kydex sheath. Great knife. And if you're concerned about slippage, one thing I will show you that I learned online, that's where you learn everything, right? From James Williams. He takes his Tanto styles, CR Columbia River, CRKT, and others, and he palms them. He said the best way to thrust with these is to palm them. and he drives it into a hardcore foam archery target, no slip. He punches through car doors with it. He also holds it this way, punches through, I guess, half-inch plywood, quarter-inch plywood. But if you handle the knife correctly, you don't need a guard. And in James Williams' philosophy or usage technique, guards will tend to get caught in close quarter combat. Now, you choose. I like the concept of a guard myself. When you open something like this, you've got a guard built into the handle and part of the flipper tab there. It's quite a bit guarding the first finger, keep you from sliding forward. This one also has jimping. We do have jimping on the Kaiken. Yeah, and it is fairly useful, although once again we get into this situation where it's even with the handle, so it's not as effective as it might have been if it wasn't even with the handle. But there's a lot of aesthetics going on here with this one. So, you know, it's definitely a user EDC. It's definitely something that could be brought to play for knife tactics. I feel I can hold this handle pretty well. Again, you know, I've got all four fingers on it, and it's rolled right into the palm tightly there. And I think it would work for that. Might you choose something else instead? Yeah, you might. But we've got a traditional style Kaiken folder going on here. I do have the Williams version of their ultra lightweight integral fat carbon folder as well. That is a very, very cool knife, what they call spectral fat carbon. But let's see what we got for factory edge on this. Oh man, it is so smooth. It's like no resistance. How about the front portion? Also, so that flat ground version and or portion, look at how stabby this guy is. It is one thing about the Kaiken style blades is they are extremely pointy and stabby. I like it for its looks. I like it for its function. You may want to check it out and realize that not all of their folders are button locks, and not all of their knives are in the SLD Magic. Here is their webpage. I'll make sure you've got that. Here's a real interesting one that they're pushing these days. It's called the Jellyfish, 4th generation, $300. By the way, this was $200. I was provided a discount as a YouTube content creator. That's one thing they're doing for creators. And, you know, that may or may not last, but I was able to get it at a slight reduction from the $200. Here are some of the available fixed blades that I just showed you, the little guys. And then they get into some of their big fixed blades. And I got my eye on this one. Real nice. 500 smackers, though, for that guy. Anyway, they do take PayPal, and you can get these, I noticed, not this particular one, but the button lock folders, the chops. You can now get them on White Mountain, so I'll leave you links to everything North Mountain on White Mountain. Be well, take care. Right now, you'll see my logo over here. Don't forget to click on that if you haven't subscribed, and you will be notified every time a new video drops here. Be well, take care, stay safe. Don't cut your fingers.